So we've been having conversations. We have lots of conversations, and in our previous conversation, we talked about some of the challenges. Recognizing that you need some help as a business owner, and some of the challenges, both external and internal, that you could be having. So let's put it in this scenario for this conversation. So you've made that decision. You recognize you need some help. What's next? What happens now? And what does that look like for the business owner? And there's some commonality between both of us, really, isn't it, in terms of what we do and how we provide that service. So what does it look like? In your view, what does it look like next? What's the first part? What's the first part of next?
Without getting into all the tools and techniques,
exactly.
I think it's much more about how do we demonstrate value to clients. And I think for me, two words come to mind, and they are making progress. And I think from wherever someone is, from a starting point, if they're to work with either of us, and I know we have very, very similar ethos on this, it's about helping people make progress. Make progress on what? Well, as we touched on in our first video, that is often orientated around where do you want to take the business, what outside of the business do you want to make progress on. But for me, I'm never happier than when a client, through whatever means we do it, makes progress on something that's really meaningful to them. They can be large or small, and it can be in the business or outside the business. But the starting point for that, I think, is often around clarity.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And I love what you said now, just about, because again, we always focus on these big, ginormous, we call them big, hairy, audacious goals, right? And I'm sure you use some sort of similar, and ultimately that's what you go into. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that, does it? In terms of, it can be relatively small wins on the journey for the big wins. But we share that in terms of clarity. We spend an awful lot of time, and again, without getting into the sort of the weeds of the service, asking questions about, where have you been, where are you today, and where do you want to go, quite simply, as a result of that. Now, I laser that very much of, what's your 3-year sales plan going forward, what has it been in the past, and get very laser focused into sales. But I spend an awful lot of time making sure, because ultimately it's not my business, right? It's still their business, and they need to be sure that whether I'm still there or whether I exit stage left and somebody else comes in and picks up the reins, that the business gets to where they want to be. So there's a lot that the business owner has to still do themselves, and they still have to be really comfortable about where the direction is. So we do spend an awful lot of time talking about clarity in the realm of sales, and I suppose that's where it's sort of complementary for Tab and Sales Geek, is that you will spend an awful lot of time, meaningful time, not very needed time, at that clarity end. I ask for clarity in terms of goals, where do you want to go and where do you need to be, and how do we break that down and step that out. But that's not the only piece that's involved in that, right? There's other things around that you'll ask questions on, to be able to get them more wider clarity about where the business is going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's all too easy to hair off trying to do a million and one things. And we talked in the previous video again about all the different external factors that are at play here. And sometimes it's difficult to sort the wood from the trees. And I think one of the ways we really do, both of us, help businesses and business owners, is to help them determine what really matters. Whether that's in the personal vision space, whether that's in the sales goals space, whether that's in the I want to take on the universe space. Actually achieving some clarity on what really matters right now is, I think, really important. It's the old adage, better for us to do 4 things really, really well than trying to do 40 things and not do them well.
Which is probably commonly where businesses have been prior to the trot spinning lots of plates, lots of things to lots of people, and it's almost like the fog of war a little bit, isn't it? It's hard to be able to see anything other than that, right?
Very reactive, very firefighting. So the more we can help the business owner get their business a bit more in control, the better. That's not to say it's going to suddenly become a cakewalk, right?
No.
But oftentimes for me, the starting point is arriving at a point of clarity or greater clarity on where that business owner wants to take things, and then we can better orientate the support system around them to accomplish that.
Yeah, I've seen you do that personally. I've seen you do that, and it's very powerful. It's really powerful, and I know the temptation is to shortcut it, because a lot of these individuals that we're dealing are very driven and very passionate individuals, you know, and they've probably been quite time poor previously, haven't they? And now and it shares with us, we're asking them to take some time to take stock of this, because that could be the best thing that you've done, if nothing else. Just take that time to have that conversation. And, you know, the temptation to try and shortcut that, because I sometimes get some pressure as a result, because obviously we're a service, and you know, there's an exchange of money going on here and various other things. But, you know, for me, obviously I go off into that sales bit, but I really am saying to individuals very early doors, no, there's some value in this. There's some huge value in understanding where are we right now, and let's get into this, and don't shortcut it to some degree, because the temptation for them to go, right, that's next on the list, what's next on the list, and sometimes it's probably surface level as well. You can sometimes get to clarity and you feel like it's clarity, but it isn't. It isn't really the issue. It isn't really the major pain that they've got. So spending time unpicking that. I'm probably off at the races already and putting things together. You're probably having more of a time with a client along that conversation, and rightly so. That's why it's probably very complimentary, right? Because to be able to unpick that first is really important, vitally important. Nothing else goes from there, really, does it?
I think once you've got clarity, then it's about focus, and it's about focused activity, isn't it? And you know, not expending energy on things that don't really matter, right? Let's focus on the things that really do. Then the next thing I think that comes along is about belief, right? And again, we've chatted about this, right? And this sort of, you know, how does a business owner who might go into that venture brimming with belief?
That's right.
How do we help business owners that along that journey might need a little bit of help to rekindle that belief and sustain it? What's your observations on that one?
Yeah, it's I think business can be attritional, and you mentioned it previously in terms of individuals have passion, energy, real subject matter expertise in their product and service. You know, there's all these great things. They've got 2 or 3 years into business, and they can be a bit weather worn as a result of that. And when you ask that question, surface level there's belief still, but really it might be only at the surface level as a result of attritional. I mean, even for businesses that are relatively doing well, it's not about whether they're achieving or not, as the case may be. It can be quite attritional and lonely for a business owner or a business leader, and the belief can be shaken a little bit, and they might have had some real knocks along the way, and it's just unpicked it a little bit. So it's there, but it almost needs a revisiting and a recharge. And actually, when you start asking some really simple questions and some easy questions, you can see the belief light starting to come back on a little bit. And then once that's unlocked and once that's back to where it needs to be, I think one of the things I say, and we mentioned it before, it sounds really, almost kind of perverse. I almost try to dissuade clients from coming on the journey, and I almost do the contractual, are you sure? Are you really sure you want to do this? Because part of this is going to take some work, and you'll see this as well. And you need to be on board with this. And as a result of it, it'll feel good, and you'll feel recharged as a result of it. But almost don't enter into this partnership lightly, because I take it very seriously, and I'm sure you do as well. And if we want to get you to those end goals, we've really got to re-plug you back in. But I think it's that attritional bit for me. You can see, not beaten, but almost it's now at 70% when they started. It was 100% and no problem at all. I don't know what you feel about that.
But I think that for me that brings full circle back to that making progress point. Because I think sometimes we get out the habit of winning races, and I think if we can help a client start to make progress, start to get a bit of low hanging fruit, start taking on a more challenging challenge, right? and win at it,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden that becomes a source of new
Yeah.
belief, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So that making progress and belief, I think, go hand in hand.
And they do. Well, we talked about stuck, right?
Mhm.
Stuck is that marginal wins. You're
Mhm.
probably not getting as many little wins regularly, and plugging a bit more in as a result of belief and working on that. Those little wins can help starting to feel like that walking through treacle
Mhm.
is starting to be a little bit easier, and that then replugs back into the belief, right?
Yeah.
Is that actually this is starting to move again,
Yeah.
and start to believe again.
Yeah,
This is going to
absolutely.
work. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think there's also the other point around that focus, those plans, setting goals,
Yeah.
and having someone else or other people say,
Yeah.
you're on the right path there,
Yeah.
get after it.
Yeah.
I see that with my tab boards, when people share, this is what I want to set about doing, or this is what I think I want to do next, and you have people around the table you respect going, that's exactly the thing I would do,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden people leave that room with a much high level of confidence than they did when they came in.
That's right.
And so that's about belief, right?
Yeah.
It's about, because sometimes you're in that echo chamber, that isolation
Yeah,
piece again.
you really are.
You might think,
your
well,
own echo chamber.
I'm pretty certain I know what I need to do next. But do I really believe that's what I should be doing next? Sometimes it just takes that coach, mentor, or peers to say, you're on the right path there, and that gives a confidence, doesn't it?
I think, we all like to be patted on the back as well. We all like to be told we're doing a great job, and it can be lonely when you're at the top of a business because nobody's actually saying to you, well done, congratulations, you've done a really good job there, it's amazing. And that peer affirmation of you're doing the right thing and you're going in the right direction for me, which is, well, that's fantastic. It just feels like we've really made progress, and you've really made progress. It can, because again, our lonely places. Yeah, exactly. And I guess we lead neatly on from that to some degree is that actually, when I was thinking about it, we were talking about a common theme between this, what our clients tend to enjoy. And you wouldn't think it would be this, because to some degree some people don't like to be held accountable, but we were talking about that actually the feedback we both get is that these individuals actually like to be held accountable. What does that look like for you?
Absolutely. I remember early on my tab journey, this is one of the areas I was probably most nervous about, right? How hard do I push people?
That's right.
And actually, without fail, my clients over the years have said, that's one of the aspects we really, really like. I think I quoted to you, one of my clients been with me 8 years now, and he said to me early on in our relationship, you know what, David, I can procrastinate to an Olympic standard.
I love that, right? Olympic standard procrastination.
And his then follow-up line a couple of years later, when we were kind of reviewing, our relationship and how's it working, is he still getting value from it? He said, look, aside from all the other aspects of the service, like the peer boards and so forth, the bit I most value is knowing that you're going to pitch up every few weeks, and if I need it, you're going to give me a push and a nudge. Because
he probably said something different.
He expressed it in a slightly different way, but that was basically the essence of what he was saying. And his linked point was, I've run my business for 25 years, and no one's ever told me what to do. So knowing that I've got an accountability partner, was his expression, that I go, crikey, I've got to get that done because David's going to come and see me in a couple of weeks. If that's how it works for my clients, that's cool, right? And if that pressure comes from me or it comes from the peers,
that's got to be developed as a relationship.
It's a relationship,
and at what point.
Absolutely, and it's not that I'm trying to be a schoolmaster.
That's right.
But it's important though, if it's about making progress. And saying out loud, this is what I want to do more of, or less of, or improve, or achieve. We've got to have some mechanisms by which we help people push that along and make stuff happen. And for some, that accountability piece is really important.
I think it comes naturally. I think as a result of doing all that first piece, naturally it feels like it kind of segues perfectly into that. I'm sure you're the same. It's your business. This is ultimately your business because I'm not. I may only be here in a short period of time, or in terms of the amount of days I spend with you. It's ultimately your business, but it's a habit to get into because then you can hold yourself accountable again because you're back into that discipline as a result of it. But it's funny how you said that in terms of, I can remember a client very recently, quite jokingly saying, "Oh, you'd be really proud of me. I've done my homework," and showing me the output. And it was because we built this relationship and there's that trust involved, and we know we've got that clarity, we've got that purpose as a result of it. It feels really collaborative then as a result of it, and it felt strange to have somebody actually get excited about. I know we do some of the work ourselves, from a salespeople perspective, but seeing somebody actually getting energized by showing that they've moved forward, they've got that progress, and the activity has been really focused in delivering on it as well. Yeah. There's a real energy boost, and it just plugs back into that belief pathway, doesn't it?
Yeah. Right. So there's this, this circularity, I think, to clarity, belief, accountability.
Yeah.
Back again, right, and but all underpinning the goal of making progress and stuff.
Making progress is critically important. It really is. So, we can have a wider discussion about sort of the detail of it and the business community in general. But I think that's the commonality between, and that's why this sort of partnership really works, because we're seeing that day to day, right, across the region, and the challenges that they're facing, and then the positive result of that kind of engagement as well. So for me, it's exciting to have these conversations with the business owners, and perhaps we can have a wider discussion later on down the line about what it looks like for the region. But it was really interesting that. Yeah, thanks, David.
Great, thanks again.
Appreciate it.